Is my memory card gonna die again? Please don't die, I need you. I've got my green tea and I've got my dressing gown on, so I feel like I'm ready for a proper sit down chat now. Hello my lovelies, it's been a long time since I've talked and sat down to the camera, and it's now February of 2021, but I'm addressing something that happened from September to December, the lead up to what I'm about to discuss, which you would have seen in the title. I have interrupted my training at drama school, so I've deferred a year and I will start again fresh in September this year. Now, for a lot of you watching that know me and follow me on social media, this isn't new information because I posted about it back in December, which is when I actually deferred, so I haven't been at drama school for the past 2 months now. But I haven't actually addressed it properly on this channel, and can you not bark, please? Sorry, my dog's having a little... She's still barking. Yeah, I haven't actually addressed it on this channel properly, so if anyone's just watching my videos rather than looking on my social medias, which are here by the way, so please go and follow, but you wouldn't know that I've deferred, so I wanted to do a sit down video and talk about it in hopes that it might help someone else that is struggling, and just addressing a taboo subject, because deferring is quite frowned upon by people because it's delaying your training, but I've come to realise that it was the absolute best decision that I could have made. So I bet you are all wondering how I came to defer and what drove me to make quite a drastic decision. So I'm going to take you back to the beginning and fill you in. So if you've watched my first vlogs that I've made, I started at Bird College, which is one of the top drama schools in London, back in September 2020. And I was just so excited to start, and it was so naive of all of us actually. I think now that we're in 2021, we realise just how naive we were to think that going back to school and work in September would be normal. But we all started, and we obviously had restrictions still in place. Bird College are doing amazing with their restrictions. I'm so proud to go to a college where they take COVID so seriously and they don't have any messing about or unnecessary cases, which is fabulous. We were in half days every day, which, looking back, that was literally a blessing compared to what happened later down the line. So we were in every day, I was loving it. We were doing dance classes, singing classes, acting classes. And it was really exciting. It's a new chapter and I was making new friends, and it was going pretty well. And I'll say pretty well because during all of this I was struggling quite bad with homesickness, and my anxiety levels were starting to build, which worries me quite a lot actually. And in the vlogs that I made when I was at student halls, which is where I chose to live, you wouldn't have seen that probably because I chose to not show that side of me. Being a performer, like most of you watching this probably know, we like to put on a front. And in those clips that were in the vlog, I was genuinely happy, but a lot of time outside of the video I wasn't. And the reason why I've addressed this is that when I deferred, some people messaged me saying like, you seem to be having such a good time though in like your vlogs. You were happy and busy and determined. But I realise now that when I do go back to Bird, I'm definitely going to be going back in September, as long as COVID is not awful. But I truly believe that we're on the up climb now, and it is going to get better, especially with the vaccinations. So most likely I'll be going back to Bird in September this year. But when I go back, if I do choose to vlog, I'm going to make sure that I'm more true and authentic to myself and show more of the ups and downs, because I realise now that didn't help me or any of you guys watching, because I was lying to myself, and if I was actually feeling anxious, I was trying to suppress those feelings, whereas you should be acknowledging them and letting them happen so then they can go away. But I'd like to just address the student hall living situation. So any of my close friends, or if you've been close with me in the past, you know that I'm not a big party animal. And you're all probably thinking now, Niamh, why the hell would you choose to live in student accommodation if you're not a party person and you're quite anxious? And my answer to that would be, I don't know. I'm actually so grateful that I chose to live in student halls for the first few months. Well, it was 1 month and a half really, I didn't last that long. But I'm really glad I experienced that. It's something that I will not be reliving. It's really not for me. But I do believe now you should be thankful for every experience, even if it's a negative and traumatizing. I know that's a big word to throw out there, but emotionally I'm still suffering from what that did to me, my mental health. So for me, I'd say it is trauma. with my anxiety comes hypersensitivity, and this is mainly with noises. So as you know from student halls, there's a lot of noise and parties, even though parties weren't really happening with COVID. There was just a few outdoor gatherings, I guess, before the lockdown came into place. But it was really boosting my anxiety levels because I couldn't predict what was going to happen. And for anyone else that's not anxious, any of you guys watching that maybe live in student halls, that's probably amazing that you can just socialise with all the flats around you and like party when we actually can. But for me, that is probably my worst nightmare. And again, I literally have myself to blame because I chose to live there. No one forced me to live in the student halls. So I completely take responsibility for some of my suffering, but also some situations weren't set up for me to feel good about myself and my anxiety to be controlled. Just let me have a sip of my green tea. So in my flat, you would have seen in my vlogs that I uploaded, I was living with 5 other people, and they're all literally so lovely. Like, I still speak to some of them now, but realistically we didn't really speak before moving in except for a few messages. So we were basically moving in with strangers. And that just seems so odd to me now. Like, I would not walk down the street and just bump into someone and say, oh, do you want to move in with me tomorrow? Should we just like live together? For me, that is just so weird and so anxiety causing if you don't know someone well enough to live with them. It's just did not help at all. But for the most part, we did get on really well, and I was very lucky to actually be with those people because I could have been with some very dodgy and nasty people, but we did get on really well, and everyone saw me as like the mother of the flat, so they'd come to me for stationery and cooking advice and any tips about like banking, which I don't know much about either, so I don't understand why they came to me for that. But I guess maybe because I'm a year older than them, and when I go back in September I'll be even a year older than people coming straight from college. The main reason probably that didn't help my anxiety was FOMO. And this is really funny because I never really struggled with that because I've always liked having my own space and independence. But I wanted to be involved, but at the same time I wanted to study and I wanted to relax and watch something in my room and just be by myself. But when you know that you're trying to form friendships with your flat and the people in the surrounding flats, that's really hard to just stay in your room because you really do feel like you're going to miss out. And I didn't want to end up with no friends or not being included, so I kind of forced myself to be in social situations which I didn't really want to be in. I would rather just be by myself. And they never actually ended up bad. Like, I actually enjoyed them once I'd done them, but the anxiety would just be so overwhelming. I didn't feel like I was with my sort of people, and that probably doesn't help that I was in the halls, because I'm definitely, looking back now, I'm not meant for halls whatsoever. So I really did start to feel lonely and stressed out. Not even stressed out from bird work, because I was actually handling that quite well and I was really enjoying the classes, but I think COVID was putting a massive strain on socialising and friendships. And I think if COVID wouldn't have been a thing, I would still be there now in the halls, because I would have been able to see more people and then socialise in my flat still. I wouldn't just be with them all the time. But that's definitely a big contribution to why I've deferred, is because of COVID. And then I got to a breaking point at the beginning of October where I just couldn't deal with the situation anymore and the anxiety. I'd literally cry every night on FaceTime to my mom, and I'd have such bad like chest pains and stomach cramps from the anxiety. And it got to a point where I wasn't going to put myself through that pain mentally and physically for the sake of accommodation. People think mental health makes you a weak person, but it makes you strong, because you've got to survive with all that pain and you fight through it every day and get to the next day. So if anyone's watching this who has mental health problems like myself, I really do applaud you. You've got this, you can keep going. Sometimes you just need to get away from an environment to realise how toxic it was and how unhealthy it was for your mind. So we had about a week to move me out of the halls before there was a deadline, which would mean I'd have to stay there till the end of the first term, which I wouldn't have survived doing. So we quickly found a host family that I could live with that was in the area. As you would have seen in one of my vlogs, once I'd moved, you would have seen that. If you would have watched it, go check it out if you haven't. But honestly, I could not thank the Harris family more. If you're watching this now, Julia, Adam and Spencer, thank you so, so, so much. You really did bring a lot more hope into my life in that hard period. You cooked my meals for me, which were literally restaurant standard. They were absolutely brilliant. They were so healthy as well, which I'm a big advocate of. So thank you so much. And definitely when I move back to London in September, I will be visiting you and we can have a family games night again. So I moved into the host family and everything seemed to calm a little. The anxiety was still there quite a lot, and obviously I'd never lived with a host family before, so I didn't want to feel like I was intruding on their lives. So settling in was a bit of a weird process, but they were so accommodating and so welcoming that didn't take long for me to settle in there. But the only problem was now is that I was cut off from a lot of my friends that I'd made in the halls, because obviously I wasn't living with them now, so they're not going to prioritise me over people that they're living with or new friends that they're making. So I did become even more lonely then, because I was living by myself, and I'm going to come on to it in a minute. COVID messed up going into college for the whole of November for me, so I didn't get the socialising with my peers or teachers, which was really hard. It's weird because I've always, like I said earlier, I've always been the person to enjoy my own company. I'm quite an introvert. I'd rather just watch TV by myself or like catch up with friends and obviously make friends and go out with them, but not as often as I enjoy my own company. So I thought I'd be okay, but there's a massive difference between feeling alone and being alone, and I felt both of them quite a lot when I was at the host family's house, because we were going into tighter restrictions than what we were in September, as you guys know. Any Brits that are watching this would know that. And then for the whole of November, I basically wasn't allowed into college because of people in my bubble having COVID, and then my host family having COVID, which luckily I never had, weirdly. And I'm grateful obviously that I didn't have it, but at the same time it's so weird. Like, they all had it basically at one point and I was the only one that didn't get it, and I was still spending time with them, so that's some freaky shit. So basically the whole of November for me was just online every day, which was hard. I think in September when we were in half days and then we had the other half on Zoom, it wasn't as bad because you still got that social interaction, and then it'd be like a fun experience to do a Zoom in your kitchen or whatever. But living by yourself and doing all your Zoom classes by yourself and not socialising with people was a massive problem for me. I think my anxiety was like here at the halls, and then it started to go down. I was like, you know what, this is a fresh start, I feel better. And then November hit and it literally skyrocketed again. I'd just like to say another shout out as well, if you're watching this. You probably not, because this is a long video already. 17 minutes in, wow. She's really going full out today. Pearl and Georgie, if you are watching this, thank you so much for being my friends, like from the beginning, from September, but when I moved into a host family's house, you really helped me not feel as alone. And I could have had no friends at that point and you could have just decided not to spend time with me, but you really made me feel worthy in that period. Yeah, I don't want to get upset in this video or cry, because I'm trying to get over those feelings, and I don't want to be like, woe is me, everyone feels sorry for me, because I made my own path in the end. But you really helped me feel better, both of you, and the little trips and walks we'd go on really helped to calm me down and make me think rationally about the situation. So thank you so much if Pearl and Georgie are watching this. I love you both and I hope you're doing okay. So yeah, it's so funny when I talk about it, all of these emotions come up again, which I don't normally face, but it was a horrible time for me mentally, probably the worst I've ever been. And it started getting to the point where I didn't want to say to my mom, I didn't want to tell anyone, but I felt like I couldn't do this anymore. I couldn't stay where I was and get through every day with a good mindset. I was getting quite depressed and anxious, but I was talking through these feelings with my mom, and eventually got to a point where I felt like I could say to her, is there any way to defer? Even to ask, if we just asked Bird to see if they would let me defer and talk about options, even if I couldn't. And I'm so thankful that my mum completely supported me. You know, she could have easily said, you just need to stay where you are and just get through it because I've paid for this, like this is your time to go to drama school. But she wants me to be happy, and I couldn't thank her enough. Like my parents and my sister, my family, my friends, everyone that I'm close to. And of course I didn't want to defer, like I didn't want to have to start again in September. I'd already done a foundation course before this, so I did feel like it was my time to go, which now looking back, I think this September is actually the perfect time to go. So we emailed the wellbeing lady at Bird, who is absolutely amazing. She's there for every student if you have a problem, and Bird's faculty of mental health and their counselling service and their teachers, I'm so lucky to be there. They're just absolutely amazing. So my mum and I wrote up an email that we could send to the wellbeing lady about the severity of the situation and is it possible to defer in any way. And she literally came back straight away and she said, I completely understand how you're feeling and mental health does come first, which I 100% obviously agree with. And I'm honestly so blown away and grateful for how, not easy because not anyone can just defer, like I was obviously at a breaking point in my mental health, but how supportive and understanding they were just blows my mind. And the fact they just said that I wouldn't have to audition, I could just come back next September, was such a relief. When I heard that news, I felt like I could have a new start. It was like a massive burden had just been lifted off my shoulders because I knew that there was a way to resolve this and to allow myself happiness again. After that, we waited a few weeks before I officially decided to defer because I didn't want to make it on an anxious state of mind. I wanted to make it when I was thinking rationally, but obviously we came to the conclusion that it was best to defer. And realistically, there was no negatives about making that decision, especially now that we're in lockdown number 3. I honestly applaud all the students at drama schools that are still online and probably will be until the summer term now, because honestly I don't think I would have made it through to Christmas or even to this term. I would have had to leave even if it wasn't deferring. I just wouldn't have been able to manage. At the beginning of December, my family came and picked me up and we moved out again. I've done a lot of moving over the space of a few months. It's definitely going to be easier now when I move back because I have an understanding of everything, like cooking, cleaning, moving, how much to take, skills, all of this. And I can't say that it's been an easy journey since deferring. I don't know why I said that sentence so broken up either. But it was quite a traumatic period for me mentally. So it's still something that I'm working on and that I'm trying to understand the feelings and think in a positive way, especially for going back. And only recently I've been able to get into a routine again, but hopefully when the gym's open I'll be hitting the gym really hard because that is a massive happy place for me. Like Jordan said in I'm a Celeb about happy place, the gym is definitely my happy place now that I've been back home, and I can't wait for it to open again. I'm not sure if this video has even really made sense or been helpful at all. I'm sorry if I've bored you half to death, and if you're still watching then thank you. But I wanted to explain the process leading up to deferring because some people probably still got massive question marks about the situation, and before this video I hadn't really addressed it, so it's actually been quite therapeutic for me to talk about it as well. But I just want you all to know that is absolutely okay, especially in this time that we're going through. Like I said, if COVID wasn't a thing, then I probably would have been absolutely fine because we would have been in full days every day, socialising. But because that wasn't a thing, it really had a massive toll on my experience there. But you're going to get through this. If you're at drama school now and you're doing online classes, this is not going to last forever. Hopefully by the summer term you'll be back in classes again. And at the end of the day, it is what you make out of it. It's not always what you've got, it's what you make out of it. There's always a positive reason to think about a negative situation. So I'm going to stop rambling now, because it's definitely been about 25 minutes and I am honestly so grateful if you're still watching, because I've bored myself out a bit now. This is a hard time, especially for students. I've known quite a few people that have taken their own lives because of this mess of universities and COVID. So feel free to message me on Instagram if you have any questions about drama school or mental health or deferring, any of that, because I'm sure I can help even a little bit. It might just make a difference to your mindset on the situation. For the next few months I'm just going to work on my skills. I'm doing piano and Spanish. Yo aprendo español. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this has made the situation a bit clearer and updated some of you if you didn't know that I had deferred and you just thought that I wasn't making videos. But I promise when I go back in September I'm going to be vlogging the shit out of my drama school experience, because I love it so much. And I will see you soon, probably either for a song cover or maybe I'll vlog a day in the life of a lockdown woman. I can't say student because I'm not a student at the moment. But yeah, stay safe my lovelies and stay positive. Positive is the absolute best thing to think about in life. A positive mindset, a determined mindset and a kind mindset will get you through this pandemic and this life. So keep dreaming big, keep smiling, keep being nice to people and be nice to yourself. Bye!